Is John Tavares' down season so far holding the Leafs back from their true full potential? And will Auston Matthews be the first Leaf, or player for that matter, in 30 years to score 70 goals? Would be an amazing feat. He has his own prime flavor. So all of that and much more in this episode of Leafs Digest. And welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues. And guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do myself and Nick a favor, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. And honestly, we're here at the All-Star break finally, and you won't want to miss anything with the Leafs. It's about to pick up. The trade deadline is around the corner as well, so it's going to get exciting. But for today's video, let's start with the superstar himself, Auston Matthews. Will Auston Matthews get 70 goals this season? That is the question that everyone is throwing around so far. And in my personal opinion, as long as he's able to stay healthy, which he has so far this season, because obviously there's rumors that he was injured last year, if he's able to stay healthy this year, I see no problem with him hitting 70 goals. He's on pace for 71, but we'll get into that in just a few minutes. Something I wanted to bring up very quickly is I don't think we appreciate this guy enough. I know we all appreciate him. I certainly appreciate him. I think he's a fantastic player, one of the best in the league, and the best Maple Leaf probably of all time. I made a video on that as well. Go check that out. But if you take a look at this, before Auston Matthews, the last Toronto Maple Leaf to score 40 goals in a season was Matt Sundin in the 2001-2002 season. Before that, it was Sundin again in 96-97. Matt Sundin finished his 18-season career with 40 goals 3 times, the third of which was with the Quebec Nordiques. All right. Matt Sundin is ranked 26th all-time in NHL history in goals scored. Mats is a legend, and that's true, and he's a Swedish legend as well on the international stage. Auston Matthews just scored his 40th goal of the season in his 46th game, which is the fastest in Leafs history. We'll get to that in a second. It is the 6th 40-goal season of his career, despite missing the mark in 2 of those seasons, shortened by injury, where he was paced for 44 goals in each. Auston Matthews is only 26 years old and entering his prime, and honestly, I can't believe what I'm witnessing either. That is stupid, honestly. Like, he is putting up crazy numbers, and you know, the benchmark before was Matt Sundin. He's the closest thing to the modern era that we had, and he played in the dead puck era, so the numbers he put up were impressive. But what Auston Matthews is doing and continues to do is just spectacular. I mean, I honestly don't think Leaf fans are giving this guy, I don't know if I would say enough credit, but just enough love. Like, they talk about his defensive game. He's got to be better defensively. Maybe that's true, but I think he's made fantastic strides in that as well. But his offensive game and what he's able to do, Leaf fans have never seen this quality of player, all right? He is the best. So anyway, Auston Matthews, goal pace for this season so far, 71 goals. He is on pace for the first 70-goal season in over 30 years since 1994, when I believe it was Teemu Selanne and McGillney put up those numbers as well. They got over 70, but it's going to be the first 70-goal season since that in 30 years. And honestly, like I said, if he stays healthy, I don't see a problem with him hitting 70 goals. It's going to be interesting. And, you know, in terms of this season, he has 40 goals already, and it's in 46 games, which is insane. Exactly what Mike says here. Auston Matthews is on another level, and it's true. He is the fastest Maple Leaf of all time to hit that feat in just 46 games played, surpassing Frank Mahovlich in 1960-61, which was quite a while ago. In 48 games, he did it back then. I mean, 40 goals in 46 games. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive, all right? He's scoring almost a goal a game. And he has not stopped since the start of this season, you know, back-to-back hat tricks. He hasn't stopped. He is fantastic. And what is there to say to bring this up as well? He has his own flavor of prime. Obviously, the first, you know, hockey athlete, at least, you know, there's other athletes signed to prime, but the first hockey player to sign with prime. Hydration, a lot of other sports teams, especially in Europe, have signed as well. So for him to get his own flavor here in Toronto, and I guess Canada as well, that's pretty cool. And the bottle looks pretty cool. So, I mean, this guy's on top of the world right now. All he needs is that Stanley Cup. All right. So, I mean, he is an absolute legend in this city already. It's crazy. So I cannot wait to see what he does the rest of the way. If you really take a step back and look at it for a second, he has 40 goals and at the time of this video, it is January still. All right. We haven't even hit February. We will the next time they hit the ice. But he's starting February with 40 goals. That is absurd. I think it took him until mid-February, late February. In the season, he scored 60 goals, right? I mean, that season, it was almost the opposite. He was really hot to finish the year, which was pretty interesting. So hopefully he stays on that same pace this year and he's able to hit 70 because he's done 60. We've seen it, and that's fantastic. And if he does that again, it's fantastic. I mean, not much more you can say, but if he's able to take it to the next level and get 70, that is where it's at. So I'm really excited to see what Auston Matthews does the rest of the way. And all he needs, like I said, is that Stanley Cup, because on Saturday night he hit 600 points as well. So I mean, he is crushing it. He's only like just a little over 300 points away from smashing the Leafs all-time record in points produced, right, by Matt Sundin. So I mean, it's incredible to think about. Everyone's got to start giving him his flowers now. He is the best Maple Leaf of all time, and he's on pace to statistically be that. But anyway, we'll move on. John Tavares so far this season, is he holding the team back? I mean, we have to ask the question. He is the second line center. He is making $11 million. And I think we might be at the point now where we knew the last 2 years, and especially the last year of his contract, would not be pretty, because obviously at that age, 33, 34, once you get up to those ages, you start to regress a little bit. We see it across the league, and we're only starting to see it with Ovechkin now. But John Tavares, it looks like it might be heading that way. Foot speed's always been an issue. But anyway, there's been a lot of discourse either side. John Tavares, he will get back on track. We know he will. And I tend to be more optimistic and lean to that side because I know he still has a lot to offer. And I still think his skill set lends to the way he's playing anyway. But, there's been a lot of discourse on either side. But we'll take a look at the facts right here. What they are on pace, each Maple Leaf, and including John Tavares, to finish the season with. And obviously, Nylander 106. That's fantastic. Matthews 103. Fantastic with 71 goals. Absurd, as we just talked about. Mitch Marner still on pace to finish the season with 92 points, which is great. Morgan Rielly having a great season. And then we got to John Tavares, who is on pace to finish the season with 61 goals. A little bit out of character for John Tavares, all right? He, is pretty much good for a point a game, ever since his career started. And that's pretty much what you expect out of him. We went through that in a previous video just a few weeks ago as well. So if you want to check out the breakdown for that, go check that video out. But, it's a little bit of a down year. And I think that he can turn around and finish strong because he did just score on Saturday. He needed that goal. It's a great deflection. It's what John Tavares does. His bread and butter is around the net, and it always has been, even when he was younger, right? So if he's able to keep that up, I lend to the more optimistic side, so I'm hoping he can, kind of get back on track that way. But there's been a lot of discourse, like I said, on either side. I mean, looking here, I have more faith in Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi producing in the playoffs than Mitch Marner and John Tavares, which, I mean, in recent years, you might look at that and be like, you know what? Yeah, Mitch Marner hasn't really produced, and John Tavares has gone away sometimes. Sometimes, showing up in big moments, but I think that's a little over-exaggerated. I mean, Tyler Bertuzzi hasn't looked so good this year, but he does come alive in the playoffs. Max Domi also looking good in the playoffs, but anyway, some people have their feelings on that. But if you look at the other side of the coin, right? Also, I don't care what anyone says. John Tavares is still John Tavares. He's going to, go through a gross, rough stretch, as players do sometimes, but he will be back, no doubter. And I tend to lend to that side more. I think he's way too good to kind of just regress out of nowhere. I think he's going to find it and hopefully finish the season strong. And like I said, you can't teach what he brings to the team in terms of face-off percentage too. He's one of the best face-off guys. Like I mentioned in a previous video, he takes all the face-offs on the power play as well. He's one of the better face-offs guys. So when it comes to playoffs, that is a huge thing too. That is a big factor. So he still brings a lot to the table. He just hasn't showed up on the score sheet as often as we would like as of late, especially the last 2 weeks. I mean, he went on that crazy 8 or 9 game pointless streak, but he's back. He scored on Saturday. So hopefully he continues to pick that up after this nice break, the All-Star break. And I'll leave on this. The Leafs own 56.2% of the 5-on-5 expected goals when John Tavares is on the ice this season. That is the best mark in that stat of his career. So honestly, if you look at the stats, if you look at the advanced stats, John Tavares is having a good season. He's making things happen more times than not on the ice. He just has to start putting up the points. But as long as what he's doing on the ice benefits the Leafs and they are able to win, I think that's all that matters. And hopefully they come out of the All-Star break fired up and ready to go. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is Auston Matthews going to be the first player in 30 years to score 70 goals? I think it happens. He is way too red hot, and he's, if he is to stay healthy, I think he does it. And let me know too, do you think John Tavares, just because of his pay, they can't move on from him? He has a no trade clause, and they're just going to have to wait until after next season to figure that out. But do you think he's possibly weighing them down, being the second line center and not really pulling his weight so much so far this season? And let me know if you think he'll pick it up. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning into Leafs Digest. I am Darius Domingues, and we'll check you out next time for another video.